Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about a very, hotly fought decision 9-6 of the en banc court. That means every judge in the court in the Fourth Circuit in the case involving a challenge to DOGE's access to private information under the Privacy Act, like Social Security records, tax records, and the like. So the headline is by a 9-6 vote. The court agreed to not dissolve a stay that the district court had entered saying, don't do this yet while I figure it out. Okay. So the bottom line in a practical sense is district court has decided, and the majority of the Fourth Circuit has agreed to hold up on things while the district court figures this out. The district court first entered the temporary restraining order, moved to a temporary injunction, and at that point, the government made an appeal to the Fourth Circuit to dissolve the injunction. A panel first had it, and then the court overall granted. The panel said, we won't disturb the stay of the district court. And then the government said, we want the entire court to weigh in en banc. And there was a vote to do that. And by a 9-6 vote, pretty much along party lines, Democrats being in the majority, that the court overall said, let's keep the stay in. All right. That's the bottom line. And it's kind of a small thing in a way, but it means that while the district court determines if there's a possible violation in the order giving DOGE access to private information, whether the government is under any constraint. Why has this become such a big and, I got to say, arcane battle? It has to do with the standards for when you grant a stay, what you have to show, and relatedly, standing, that old, scary concept that comes up in a lot of these cases. So the 6 dissenting judges, including J. Harvey Wilkinson, the judge who, last week gave that really ringing, important concurrence in the Abrego Garcia case. He is one of the ones that going against the majority in an opinion by 6 judges saying you shouldn't have done it. And basically the argument is all that's happened so far is DOGE people have been given authority to look at some of this information. There's been no allegation that any information belonging to the plaintiffs has been even looked at, much less that it's been dealt with in a legal way under the Privacy Act. So we have the old issue of it's permitted for the government to have people other than at least with Social Security information, tax can be different, but Social Security information, other people look at it in certain instances, and that's considered lawful, and it doesn't mean that it's an inherent violation. So where are we now? We're at a point where looks like DOGE has maybe been granted this authority. They haven't exercised it, at least as to the plaintiffs. The plaintiffs are in, I think, a justifiable state of unease, the way it's put forward, that they will do it and they will violate their privacy and they will do bad stuff once they see it. But the fight at the court level is, have they gotten close enough to really showing concretely that this is, on the verge of happening, much less that it's happened and there's damage. So the 6, and what prompts the big fight in the Fourth Circuit, as well as at the panel level where it's 2-1, is that a lot of the judges, they happen to be the conservative judges, are saying, you're not there yet. You really got to show some harm. You haven't yet. We're not sure you have standing, but in any event, you haven't made the high showing necessary for us to make a finding of entering a TRO. So really this comes down to, to the extent it feels a little legal and arcane, that's because it is, and it comes down to disputes between judges about whether or not that has been met. But the basic kind of fact on the ground that's really prompting the dispute and for us to follow and be aware of is that DOGE looks like it's gotten authority, but hasn't done anything yet to harm the interests, at least the people who have brought suit. Now there's this screaming point on the other side, which is once they do it, it's going to be too late, right? I mean, then the barn doors open. They could take that information, use it in an improper political way. Certainly the way DOGE has behaved to date in these few months doesn't give great cause for comfort about what they might do. And that's on the one hand. Then on the other are the people on the other side saying, maybe, but hasn't happened yet, et cetera, et cetera. So what there is not disagreement about, and this is the thing that matters, even though if the conservatives or the Republicans and Wilkinson had their way, it could happen. But what there is not disagreement about is whether DOGE right now is empowered to do this stuff, and whether somehow the Trump executive order has overridden the Privacy Act and Congress's commands that say, you can't just reveal this kind of stuff, and that's a violation of the act, maybe even of the Constitution. So that principle, that's not where the courts are divided, but really in just a pretty small way about whether they've made a good enough showing. So for now, the state of play, and it's not going anywhere. This won't go to the Supreme Court I don't think, on the issue, should a stay have been granted. So for now, that stay that the district court granted doesn't change, isn't dissolved. A majority of the Fourth Circuit so holds. But there's the substantive fight in the future over whether they've made the finding, and whether you can have a permanent injunction, and whether there's special authority and the like to bypass the effort to have second guessing occur and the like. All I want to say about that is nothing's really happened there. What's happened there is that judges who thought they haven't made a good enough showing to keep the stay in were outvoted, and the en banc court, a majority of them said, let's keep the stay as it is, go back to the district court to try things, but in the meantime, the command not to do these things stands, and that's how it's going to be while we go on to trial. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.